Okay, it's the 9th of August, 2021. This was the day when the large blonde group took their first aggressive, positive, real actions against me. I had very little room on my phone because of all the video and pictures that I'd taken, so there's very little that I could grab.
Right,
This is my arrival at the park. You can hear the taunting right away.
It's a Monday.
Right there, screamed in the back. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to give you a rundown of what happened here. I'm going to probably talk over myself.
Same group of individuals, dogs off the leash.
Okay, so I basically just document that the dogs are off the leash again, same group. I'm going to show you a still of the blonde. Here's the large blonde right when I got there, and she saw me. She already had her phone in hand. She was waiting for my arrival. And there was one other woman, the elderly woman, white woman, with her. And her dogs were unleashed. So, okay, this is what I saw when I got there. Here's what you're going to see next is a timeline of events. And while that goes, I'm going to talk to you about what happened. So, I arrived and I parked over near the golf course on the west side. I got our dog out and I began walking on the interior of the wall, on the western wall, heading north. As I approached the stage area, I locked eyes with a gentleman who was standing over outside the wall to the north end of the stage. So he was parked there and he was just standing there. As soon as I walked around towards the back of the stage, he locked eyes with me and I could see that he was targeting me. I didn't know who the individual was because I'd never been close enough to any of these people to be able to identify them. So, but as it turns out, he's the motherfucker man, who we'll call him, in the large blonde group. I just didn't know that. But I knew that he was targeting me because he locked eyes and I could see there was intent. So as I began walking behind the stage, he immediately began walking towards me with his dog. I stopped and I turned and I went backwards 180 degrees and I went in front of the stage. So while he walked behind the stage heading west, I was walking in front of the stage heading east and I passed him. As I passed the stage and I began walking along the northern wall heading to the eastern wall, I looked over my shoulder and he had stopped on the western side of the stage and he stood there and watched me. Eventually he began following me, tailing me with his animal. As I came down, heading south along the eastern wall, the large blonde woman who had been out in the middle of the field began converging on my position, and the elderly woman began converging on my position from my south. She was heading my direction, heading north along the eastern wall as I was heading south. So she was pushing towards me. The blonde woman was coming from the west, heading east, pushing us against a wall, and we had another gentleman, the motherfucker man, douchebag guy, coming from the south, pushing north. I mean, he's coming from the north, pushing south. So he was behind me, pushing us right into this other woman with her dog, and then, of course, the blonde was coming from the other side, trying to trap us into a wall in a closing circle around us. We managed to break out of it. My dog didn't react to any of it. As she passed, the blonde woman got within maybe 3 feet of me with her camera out, sticking it out at me, trying to basically, what they were trying to do was cause an aggressive dog issue. That was my impression. They were trying to cause an aggressive dog issue by trapping my dog between 3 other animals on a wall, forcing my dog to naturally respond and protect itself, and thereby getting it on video so they have something to complain about. Well, it backfired. It didn't work. We managed to go around them and get out of their little trap. And we went around the park and made a second lap. As we came back around, they again tried the same thing. This time, I saw it happening earlier, and I stopped and immediately turned and did a 180 degree as we were heading on the eastern wall, heading south again. They tried to spring the trap, and I just immediately turned a 180, headed north along the eastern wall, exited the interior of the park, and walked around the exterior until I'd passed them. So after we went the second lap around the park, I got into my car and pulled up and parked and wrote an email to myself, which I've included on here, just so that there was contemporaneous notes. I have its date and time stamped. The original's date and time stamp, so it was sent from the scene, and it documented everything that I'm just telling you right now. And so with that, I immediately went home and purchased a body camera from Amazon.com, and it was delivered the next day. It was defective, but I returned it, had a replacement issued. I did that because of the immediate threat of what was going on down there at the park with these people, and the threat that they put my animal in by doing what they did. So there was real threat involved, and I hadn't taken any actions towards these people ever. I have issues with the city and their lack of enforcement over the dog issue, but I haven't taken any actions against these people. Like I said, I couldn't even tell you what they looked like, because I was so far away from them all the time. And I've never spoken to them. I've never interacted with them. Have nothing to do with these individuals. But because I have an issue with the city and the city's lack of enforcement of the leash law, and because these individuals are involved with serially not obeying the leash law, they've decided to target me and my animal. So at this point, I decided to not bring my animal back to the park anymore until the city manages to figure out how to enforce the leash law, and these people are no longer a threat. So you'll see what happens on the following days. I'm not going to characterize it for you. I urge you to watch the 11th, because that's the 11th of August, because that's when things get really nasty, and on the 12th also, and the 13th. Those videos will be coming pretty soon. I already have the 11th done. I still have to do the 12th and the 13th, but they'll be coming within a few days. And so I've had to suspend going to the park for a number of weeks until I could get all this video online, but we will be returning back to the park here soon. So look for the rest of the videos. Enjoy it.